Hey there, Saki here from Sakitech. In today's video, we will do one of the most exciting comparisons for 2016. We will do a full comparison between the Apple iPhone 6s versus the Samsung Galaxy S7. To put things in perspective, the iPhone 6s was released in September 2015, while the Galaxy S7 on March 2016. They're both current flagships, one from Apple and the other from Samsung, and they dominate the smartphone arena. Naturally, a lot of people are asking questions like, is the iPhone 6s better than the newer Samsung Galaxy S7 or vice versa? Or, shall I get the 6s or the S7? I cannot make up my mind. So in this video, we will do a full in-depth comparison, pick a winner, and demonstrate how to pick the right smartphone for you. So let's dive right in and start off with the build quality. The S7 is meticulously crafted out of metal and glass with no trace of plastic. The bezel of the device is all magnesium alloy, whereas the front and back panel of the device are built using Corning Gorilla Glass. The final result of this construction is a device that looks like a rock star and feels like $1 million. But the iPhone 6s doesn't disappoint either. It is crafted out of aircraft-grade aluminum with artistic precision, with a sleek, curvy design and a smooth, continuous form factor. Both devices look gorgeous from all angles, so in terms of aesthetic looks, the choice will boil down to the personal preference of the user. So go ahead and tell me which one you think looks better and why in the comments below. Now, where the S7 takes a major lead is that it is water resistant with an IP68 level certification. This means that you can submerge the S7 into 5 meters of water for 30 minutes and expect absolutely no damage. You can use your phone while it is raining, even if you want to take some photos in the rain. And if you ever accidentally drop your S7 in water, it will emerge with no water damage. Now with the iPhone 6s, you can do that as well, but don't expect it to be functional afterwards. The iPhone 6s has no water resistance at all. So, if water resistance is something you truly need, pay special attention to this category. And finally, as I always say, the fact that these phones are made out of smooth and shiny materials also makes them very slippery and prone to sliding out of your hand onto the floor. If that happens, and if you don't have a case, your phone will most likely get a shattered screen or cosmetic damage, and that's not what you need in your life. I advise a protective case, sleeve, or a skin, although that comes at the slight cost of hiding the true beauty of your smartphone, but that's just the way it is. So as far as the actual design and beauty is concerned, neither smartphone wins. As we have said, that will be a choice you make based on your subjective taste. But the S7 takes a slight lead in build because it has in fact water resistance capability. Now let's move on to the processor, memory, and storage. The iPhone 6s has a powerful 64-bit Apple A9 dual-core processor clocked at 1.84 GHz. You have 2 GB of RAM. Now the base model includes 16 GB of storage, but you can buy the 64 GB or the 128 GB version for a premium price. Now as for the S7, you have two versions. The US, Chinese, and Japanese markets will be getting a powerful 64-bit quad-core Snapdragon 820 processor clocked at 2.2 GHz. European and Asian markets will get a powerful 64-bit Exynos 8890 octa-core processor. Octa stands for 8, so we have 4 cores clocked at 2.3 GHz and the other 4 cores clocked at 1.6 GHz. S7 will sport a whopping 4 GB of RAM. The base model will come with 32 GB of storage and a micro SD expansion slot that will allow for an additional 200 GB of storage via a micro SD card. By simply having a micro SD expansion slot, the S7 has a clear advantage in storage. Remember, if you buy a 64 GB iPhone or a 16 GB iPhone, you're stuck with that capacity for the life of your ownership. This should be an important decision metric when you are considering one or the other phone. And of course, at the end of this video, we will run a processor and memory benchmark test to see which one of these phones has more raw horsepower based on the processor and memory. Now let's take a look at the dimensions and weight. The iPhone 6s measures 138.3 millimeters. In height, it is 67.1 millimeters wide and 7.1 millimeters thick. And of course, it weighs 143 grams. Now the Samsung Galaxy S7 measures 142.4 millimeters in height. It is 69.6 millimeters wide and 7.9 millimeters thick. It weighs 152 grams. Based on numbers alone, the 6S has the S7 beat in all dimensions, including the weight. However, the S7 does have a larger 5.1-inch screen as opposed to the 4.7-inch display on the 6S, so that is a contributing factor to the higher dimensions. Additionally, as I say in all my comparison videos, just about all premium flagship phones in the past few years are generally speaking featherweight and paper thin. So I wouldn't really pay too much attention to dimensions, especially when it comes to making a decision between the two phones. Let's move on to the screen resolution, PPI, and quality. So the iPhone 6s has a 4.7-inch IPS LCD screen with a resolution of 750 by 1334, and that gives us a PPI of 326. Now the S7 has a 5.1-inch screen, which is a Super AMOLED screen with a resolution of 1440 by 2560. You get 577 pixels per inches. So listen, there's nothing wrong with the iPhone 6s display. It is a gorgeous and clear display with accurate color reproduction. It is certainly a world-class display. It is, after all, as of the publication of this video, the latest flagship device from Apple. But the S7 has the edge. It will be sharper, it will be more vibrant, and it will be richer in color. It's just the facts. It may not be directly obvious that the S7 has a superior display, but it will be very obvious when you look at high-resolution pictures, videos, and even some content-rich websites. So the win here will be assigned to the S7. So let's move on to the software. Now, because software is something we use extensively, let's go into some healthy amount of detail. The S7 comes with the latest version of Android Marshmallow running the Samsung TouchWiz overlay, whereas the iPhone 6s comes with the latest version of iOS. Now, anytime you compare Android and iOS, two major differences become palpable: Android's customization capabilities and Apple's app ecosystem. First, let's take a look at the customization capabilities. This is a field where the S7 will take the win because you can fully customize this phone and personalize it to fit your personal sense of style. You can also add some spice to your home screens using live widgets such as calendars, clocks, weather, news feeds, and create color-themed folders. You can even download and install custom themes from the theme market on your phone, and your phone will look like a different device altogether. Unfortunately, none of this is possible on the iPhone yet. All you can change is the wallpaper for the lock screen and the home screen, and you get a static grid of app icons on each home screen with the ability to create folders, and that's all. Now, secondly, let's look at the app ecosystem. Now, although both the Google Play Store and Apple App Store have millions of apps available for download, the quality of apps and games that come from the Apple App Store is simply better. Let's be clear. Of course, the Google Play Store has some really amazing apps and games. But when you compare the quality ratio, Apple App Store wins by having a higher number of quality apps and games, period. Therefore, if you're an app-only person that is not concerned about customization features, and if you're an avid mobile gamer, iPhone will be the better choice. I would even say that the gaming experience on the iPhone is consistently better than Android. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the 3D Touch featured on the iPhone 6s. The S7 has nothing to rival the 3D Touch. What you get is a pressure-sensitive screen that can sense how firmly you're pressing on the screen. Based on the force with which you do press, it will offer you two basic functions: peek and pop. You can press lightly to peek into content such as hyperlinks, directions, photos, emails, text messages, and it's going to give you a preview. And if you press firmly, it's going to pop you into the full content you just previewed. On top of that, 3D Touch allows you to press on home screen app icons to bring up shortcut menus, which they called quick actions. This is kind of like the right click that you perform on your computer. So make sure you guys put a special emphasis on the software when you're making a decision. With the Apple iPhone 6s, you'll be getting a better app ecosystem, better apps, better games. With the Samsung Galaxy S7, you'll be getting a phone that is much more customizable than the iPhone. Anyway, let's move on to the camera. So the Samsung Galaxy S7 offers a 12 megapixel rear-facing camera with an aperture of f1.7. The iPhone 6s offers a 12 megapixel rear-facing camera with an aperture of f2.2. As you can see, while the megapixel count is the same, the aperture on the S7 is larger. The smaller the number, the larger the aperture. With a larger aperture, S7 is able to suck in more light than the iPhone 6s, which means the S7 will be performing better in low light conditions. Additionally, the S7 now implements a dual pixel sensor technology which allows for super fast autofocus. So once again, let's be very clear. We have two cameras that are amazing. The 6s is not a joke. This is truly a great camera. It takes sharp, crystal clear photos that could pass as professional photos if taken correctly. But so can the S7. But the S7 has a clear lead on low light performance, and it has faster autofocus. It is going to take nighttime photos like no other and won't have any problems focusing even in low light. While you may be able to take some nice low light photos with the iPhone 6s as well, they will be grainy and noisy, whereas the S7 will provide sharper shots. As for video, both cameras offer 4K recording at 30 frames per second, 1080p, which is full high definition, at 60 frames per second, and you can also shoot some amazing super slow motion shots at 720p with 240 frames per second. Now let's take a look at the front-facing camera. On the 6s, we have a 5 megapixel f2.2 camera with the ability to record at 720p, while the S7 offers a 5 megapixel f1.7 camera with the ability to record at 1080p. So in the camera department, although both of these cameras are pretty amazing, the S7 is going to take the win because, as we have talked, it gives you better low light photos and faster autofocus. So let's move on to the battery life and some battery features. The iPhone 6s has a battery capacity of 1715 milliamp hours, while the Galaxy S7 has a battery capacity of 3000 milliamp hours. Obviously, there's a huge difference in battery capacity, but does that translate to a huge difference in actual battery life? No. What you are going to get is an iPhone 6s and a Samsung Galaxy S7 that both offer a full day of medium use with a single charge. Now, Samsung has a clear lead as far as charging options go. You can charge wired and wirelessly. On top of that, each of those options offer fast charging. For instance, you can charge your S7 from 0% to 100% within 1 hour using the fast wired charging with the included charging adapter. Or you can charge it wirelessly using fast wireless charging, which brings you to 100 from 0 in 2 hours. With the iPhone, you only have one option, which is wired charging, and it is not fast. It will take you a little over 2 hours to charge fully from 0 to 100 using wires. Additionally, the S7 also comes with an advanced software feature called the Ultra Power Savings Mode that transforms your device into a black and white bare minimum phone, only good for calling, texting, and other basic functions such as using the calculator or calendar. No movies, no games, no fancy media, just the basics. This will allow you to survive for a full day on a 10% battery life if you were stranded. So that's the battery, and the overall win once more goes to Samsung for being more feature rich, both in hardware and software. So let's move on to fingerprint sensors. Both the iPhone 6s and the Galaxy S7 has touch to unlock fingerprint sensor. They both work quickly and flawlessly as they should with 99% accuracy, so this category is a clear win for both phones. Let's simply move on to the benchmarks. As we said earlier, let's do a quick benchmark comparison between these two phones using the Geekbench benchmarking tool, which simulates real-world scenarios to stress test these devices to their absolute maximum. So let's start off with killing all the background tasks, and then we will launch Geekbench, run the test, and then I will fast forward to the end of the video to save time and inspect the results to see which phone is faster. And as you can see, I'm running the tests right now. So let's fast forward. So there we have it. The iPhone beats the S7 in the single core score, but the S7 beats the iPhone in the multi-core score. But if you look at these numbers carefully, the overall difference is not that great. Basically, both of these phones are super fast. Let's move on to a conclusion. Now, based on all the extra features, Samsung Galaxy S7 emerges as a winner. It has water resistance, offers a better screen. You can use an SD card to add 200 gigabytes of extra storage, has a superior fast focusing low light camera, and offers some fancy features like wireless charging as well as fast wireless charging. The only extra feature the iPhone 6s has that the Samsung Galaxy S7 doesn't have is the 3D Touch feature. So let's take a look at this. If you are an iPhone user and have a desire to switch, just ask yourself, can I live without those features on the S7? If the answer is yes, you have to stick with the iPhone 6s. iPhone 6s is no joke. It is a flagship phone that dominates the marketplace and does everything it is supposed to do extremely well. On the other hand, if those features do matter to you, then it is the perfect time to switch to Android and experience an exceptional feature-rich smartphone, the S7. If you are a Samsung Galaxy user and want to switch to the iPhone 6s, again, you simply have to weigh the features and see if they matter to you. One category you have to pay special attention to is software, because most of our interaction with our phones is software based. So let's make this very clear. If you are more interested in well-made, well-optimized applications and games rather than the ability to customize and personalize your phone, then Apple is a greater choice because, as we have said, it offers a higher quality app ecosystem than Android. On the flip side, if customization and personalization are more important than highly optimized apps, then Galaxy S7 is the way to go. I know that there is no clear-cut response, but that's the way this is going to be until smartphones are perfect. So I cannot make the choice for you, but I can tell you what phone has what feature, and then you can sit down and weigh the options and go with what suits you better. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Subscribe to sakitech, give this video a thumbs up, and also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All the links for my social media channels are below in the description. Have a great day.